What's up,
We're
y'all? Welcome
back.
to the Tomboy podcast. I'm your host, Kristin Miles, and I've got my girlfriend Lila with me. We are going to talk today about a question that I get a lot, and we've already been talking about a little bit, so we're just going to jump into it. I put up a Q&A box on my Instagram story a couple weeks ago, and the first question that popped up was about Gabe and I and how we keep it sexy and spicy, and we've been together a decade now. We love saying a decade. And we do. We keep it fun. We like to go places. We like to do things. I'm very lucky that he is like down for whatever. So I feel like I'm the same. So the two of us, we can get into some trouble if we're not careful. But yeah, I thought we would talk today about keeping your relationship spicy. And Leela's got a lot to add to that topic. And yeah, we're just gonna get into it. So a funny little story about this the same topic is a couple of weeks ago, David and I were at the gym, and a guy that has known us for a few months told Gabe, man, that's your wife. I thought y'all were just dating. I thought that was so cute because we're so affectionate with each other that he thought, we don't even know this guy that well, and he thought we were just dating. And then the lady at the bank went to sign some papers, and she thought we were engaged. And she said something about how we were holding hands, and she just assumed that we were engaged for some reason. And then a guy that works in a restaurant that we go to frequently also thought we were dating. And he said the same thing. He's like, you guys are just so affectionate. You don't really see couples that have been together a long time being that way together. And I mean, I'm sure there are times when we're not that way. But in general, I think we are both always actively trying to show the other person that we care about them, that they're at the top of our list, that we are thinking about them. And you have to do that to keep any of it alive, to keep the relationship alive, to keep the spice alive, to keep the communication up. You have to be actively putting each other at the top of that list first and foremost. Would you agree?
Right. I think absolutely. I think so many people get lost in the dating stage and, oh, we're dating. And then if you do transition into, getting engaged and getting married, I think a lot of times we forget that what got us there was dating. And you stop dating, well, it's going to change how you view your relationship and just the whole structure of your relationship. We have a friend in common, and her parents to this day, they've been married, I think 30, 35, maybe 30, who knows, a long time. And to this day, they religiously go on a date every single Friday night, no matter what. If they're out of town, if they're not, then they're on a phone date. If they're not together, but they do it is just a part of their marriage that has never left, and it keeps it alive. I mean, if you see these, they are out there shagging their little hearts out. They are kissing and tapping each other on the booty and just giving it and shaking and shimmying, and it's just unbelievable. They're in their 70s and they are as in love as you would imagine two teenagers, going to prom. So I think that people forget that you got to where you are by dating. You have to keep dating. Okay. Just because you got married, you don't just stop and say, okay, well, and there are a lot of people that do. I have a friend, and, her view is, before I was married, her response to me one time was, because I, told her, like, oh, do you ever spice it up and do a little something for your husband, 2 p.m. He comes home, you in some lingerie or something. And she looked at me and said, you're not married. You wouldn't understand.
I understand where your friend is coming from to a certain extent, because especially once you had children into the mix and practices and schedules and your own extracurricular activities, whatever they may be, it does get a little wild. But that goes back to the priority thing. So like your list of priorities in your day of things you want to accomplish, your partner's happiness should be at the top of that. And
absolutely,
that's what that stems from. So I think people allow the other things they have going on, whether it's kids or jobs or hobbies, to get so much more important than the original priority. It's something that always rubbed me wrong about sitcoms growing up. It's like, oh, the wife would, oh, well, you're sleeping on the couch. Who am I to tell my husband that he's got to sleep on the couch?
Right. I wish I would.
It's crazy. I have never slept. I mean, there was like years that went by before Dave and I even slept in separate beds because we were out of town from each other. Like, we didn't spend a night away from each other for years.
Mm-hmm.
And not for any reason other than it just didn't happen for whatever reason. But
Right.
yeah, there was a reason I brought up communication. There was a reason I felt like it made sense.
It did make sense. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to communicate how you're feeling. It would avoid so many issues. There have been so many moments. My husband and I's not arguing style, because we really don't argue that much, to be fair. But in those moments, in the rough moments, I need time to process. I need to like walk away, shut down. He wants to address it, which is fine. I've had to learn, my problem is if I address it immediately, my mouth, the way it's set up, it's a little reckless. And then I'll say things and I don't mean them and they're out of, a place of anger or frustration. So I need a moment just to reset. But we're very good about taking a moment and then immediately sitting down and saying, okay, let's talk. And no matter how mad we are, I think so many people will walk away or hold it in. And then 2 months later, it's like, oh, but remember when you said this and da-da-da-da-da. And since then, 10 other things have happened that you're still pissed off about. And now you hate this man sleeping next to you and you want to punch him in the back of the head. Don't do that. But, like if you just address it, if it's a problem that can be solved, it can be solved right there. If it's a problem that needs to be addressed again, or, something more serious action needs to be taken towards it, then let it be that. But I think so many people just don't want to talk about it. It is easier to walk away. It's easier not to talk about it. It's easier to say, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm not mad, when you're boiling inside. I just can't do that. My face doesn't do that.
No, neither Gabe nor I are good at it. And he has actually come home from work because we haven't had an argument before. He's like, no, nothing else is getting done until this
Right.
is fixed.
I
So
agree.
you have got to communicate about those things, and be respectful in your communication. Also hear it a lot where people are just disrespectful about even in the
Right.
tone they speak about their partner. I just don't like it. I don't get it. I don't speak poorly about Gabe to anybody. Even if I'm like bitching about something to a girlfriend, I'm never going to call him
Right.
names.
Right.
We don't lash out at each other for no reason. Sometimes we're better at it than others, but you really have to be mindful that you don't say something you can't take back. You
Right.
have to be very mindful. Sometimes it's out there and you can't bring it back and you can't fix it. It
Right.
breaks something. You've had those conversations where somebody said something. It's like, okay, I can't allow myself to have any space for you anymore. That hurt.
Right. Right. Like you've gone past a point. Like that
Yes.
point is crossed. I had to learn very, very early on, with my husband, is I used to always run to my girlfriends. If me and my ex or anybody were having an issue, the first thing I would do is tell my sister or tell my girlfriend, this and that. And then what does that do? First of all, they're seeing them in a totally different light. They're seeing them only in that negative light that you are presenting in that moment. They don't know that 5 minutes later you've made up and you're making out on the couch. Okay. And also, misery loves company. We all have those girlfriends who are our besties and our biggest supporters, but they love to see it fail. They would love for things to go wrong. And you have to be very careful with those people in those moments, because they can hype you up and they can say things to you. And then what do? You take that back into your relationship. So that was something that very early on we discussed. And we are very clear that we don't go outside of our relationship for help. We don't tell other people. If we got a problem, we're handling it. That's it, And I think so many people, especially in today's society, I mean, people put it up on Facebook. Oh, this MF did this, and then you got 37 comments of girls like, yeah, raw, raw. And then 2 days later, they're posting, their new selfie. And you're like, oh, okay. So we've got to be
that bad.
Right. Obviously didn't listen to your comments. And I think that takes us into love languages. I don't know if, the listeners out there have read the book by Gary Chapman, but it's called The 5 Love Languages. And I think it's so important to understand that not everybody loves or receives love or is able to give love the same way we do. There's, words of affirmation, there's physical touch, there's gifts, there's quality time, there's acts of service. For some people, gifting, like for some people, they need gifts. And I'm not talking about diamond bracelets. I'm talking about little things, sentimental things, just to show that they need to be gifted. For some people, it's simply, physical touch. Like, I just want to be held and kissed and hugged and made to feel better and made to feel loved. And words of affirmation, that's a huge thing for me. I think I've spent so much of my life, and we talked about this in a previous podcast, I've done a lot of people pleasing in my life. So words of affirmation are very important to me. The other day, out of nowhere, we're just walking down the street and my husband looks at me and says, "You know what? You're a really good wife." And just that, like, the cooking, the clean, I don't care. That one little sentence. And it was just such a genuine, and I was like, "What?" He was like, "I was just thinking about it. You're like a really good wife." And I was like that meant more to me than anything else in the world, you know? And so I think it's so important for us to learn each other's love languages, communicate. Through communication, you're going to discover how your partner fights, how your partner deals with obstacles and confrontation, and what their language is, what their love language is to calm that situation or to make things okay, or what they need from you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm so fascinated by the love languages and all of them. I've never read the book. Never, full disclaimer. But I think it is so interesting, and I love seeing the similarities in my partner and myself. And I love giving affection. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily need him to hug me and like come to me to give me affection. I want to give it to him.
Yeah.
Guess that's, I'm big on acts of service. Like when he puts a new set of tires on my car, or the
Right.
hottest thing ever, literally the hottest thing ever, is if I break down on the side of the road and we would have the tow trucks.
Uh-huh.
So my father-in-law, it was his tow truck business, and he would come pick me up. My father-in-law was a big man like Laszlo, and I
Mm-hmm.
just was in love with him. The first time I met my father-in-law, I was on his lap. I just was immediately like, oh my God, I loved him so much. It's past tense. That's why I say love. I mean, I still love him. But anyways, he would pull up in that tow truck. And I'm talking about one day I had just left the hair salon getting my hair did.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled up. He had this silver, thick, white, long hair, and it was just beautiful. And he had a beautiful blue shirt, and he just looked so handsome. And he says, "Your hair looks pretty," as he's rolling my truck up onto the back of the tow truck. Oh, it was so hot. Oh, my God. And now anytime Gabe comes to get me in the rollback, oh, yeah. Yeah,
That's
super
it.
hot.
That's
He's
it.
picking my oil. I'm all over it. I love it.
Mm.
So find out what your partner's love language is, and you could really get them pumped up like I am right now.
Exactly. Pull up in a tow truck, you got Kristin done. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's very important, and I don't think people give each other enough credit sometimes. Just because we don't have the same love language doesn't mean we can't love each other properly. We just have to understand it. I know that when I'm feeling a certain way, if my partner comes and hugs me and just holds me and gives me a few words of affirmation, I'm good. I'm healed. I'm fine. Him
Yeah.
going out, if we're in the middle of a fight, him going to the store and coming back with a diamond ring, I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but like, that's not going to do anything for me in terms of my emotional state or anything, but for some women,
Yes.
that's how they've received love from their parents. That's how they've received love from their families. So to them, that is love. And it's just super important to understand that and to give grace to each other, to say, okay, your love language is different than mine, but I'm willing to meet you halfway. We have to, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Gabe's love language is me scratching his back before he falls asleep every night. And I love it. I do. I mean, it puts me to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like our little routine. You've got to, give them those little things that they like. They're going to get to leave you. You're all going to have a happy life. Happy life. Not happy
Happy.
wife, but it doesn't hurt.
Yes.
Happy
I mean, it
buckles.
doesn't hurt, And I mean,
No,
speaking of touching, it's scientifically backed that
yeah.
touching is just, it's literally a drug. It's
Yeah.
literally a drug. Okay. You've got hugging. Hugging, to me, those deep, amazing hugs where you want nothing else in the world just to be held. just that embrace. And, you know, as we were talking about the fact that it releases oxytocin, which is your happy, it's like the love, it's literally like the hug hormone. Literally,
Yeah.
literally. It's just your body is flushed with just a feeling of security and happiness. And also in that moment, your cortisol levels are lowering. Okay. So now your stress, whatever stress is in your body, it is a scientifically proven fact that a hug will lower your stress levels. Okay. And heighten your happy hormones. So your body's in this like,
I
okay,
know,
it's fine.
I
It's
know,
fine.
but a long one.
A long
It
one.
had to be a
Yeah.
long
Not,
one and
not,
a good
not, not, not the side, like homie, like, you
no,
know, not
no,
that. It's got to be
full
where you're just
body.
like, yes, like
Yes.
pressed body.
I love it. I literally hug everybody like that. I don't hug
Yeah.
everybody like I hug Gabe, but when I
Right.
hug, I want to hug you. Like
Yeah.
I want to hug you. I want you to
I'm
feel.
such a hugger.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Right. Like, oh,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love it. I'm such a hugger, and people are often weirded out by it, I think, because I just go in for the hug. Like, I'm like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. Okay.
I'm okay
That's
with it.
fine.
I'm okay
Right. They
with
don't
it.
hate it. No one hates it.
Yeah. No one hates it. And the
Right.
kissing is the same. Tell me about the kissing because you're better at explaining this.
Okay, I mean, kissing is the same thing. So your body goes into apparently just the sensation of your lips being touched. I mean, even when you touch your lips just gently, you get little, you know, it's like just touch them, right? Even that,
What
okay.
lips are we talking
When
about?
on this podcast, these
And you're like,
okay.
you just your lips, you can feel it. I'm like, yeah, I
No,
feel
but but also with the kissing of the lips of your face. Okay. So there's a cocktail hormone, like a hormone, sorry, cocktail hormone, a hormone cocktail that is released. You've got the oxytocin, you've got the serotonin, you've got the dopamine, then add in there the smell of your partner, which also
yeah.
triggers your brain, and just being physically close to them, because to kiss them, you kind of got to be close. And then there's usually other touching involved. So kissing is a euphoric
Ugh.
activation of your body. And it's so
Like, what a
crazy.
little euphoric just hearing you talk
Like,
about it.
oh God, because it can be
Yes.
so unbelievable. There were times in my life where the kissing meant more than sex. Okay. And there was a lot of times in my life where I wouldn't kiss certain partners. Like, I didn't even want that. Like, have you ever been like just grossed out by somebody in your life and you're just done with them, but you're still, you know, not done with them? And there were guys that I literally would just stop kissing because I just didn't even like, my body was like, nah, nah, no. I don't want the cocktail. I don't want the cocktail. None of it. Okay. Anyway. So, what have we learned? Hugging and kissing, guys. Hugging and kissing.
You
Even
gotta
if
do
it's, you got to. 20-second hug at least. 6-second kiss at least. There's even kissing exercises. Me and Shane one night, we were just like, let's just, like, I looked up kissing exercises. So we were like practicing different, like sensual and like types of kissing and stuff. And it was like, we'll talk about that in the other one. But anyway, kissing.
Yeah.
Guys.
I love it. I don't really know what this has to do with anything, except Gabe and I can be having conversations. I guess it goes into the whole scheduling thing that we talked about before the podcast, where there is some amount of scheduling that has to be, or even like you were saying about your girlfriend, 2 p.m. lingerie was out of her league. She was not thinking about that kind of thing.
Right.
But if she thought about it because it was a priority, she might schedule that kind of thing into her day so that she would be able to do that with her husband. And that is no different when it comes to sex or dates. You do have to schedule those things.
Right.
And I think in the beginning of me being married, I was kind of like, that's not spontaneous. I don't really love that. But you can either not love that and not like there not being a whole bunch of spontaneity in that area, or you could not get laid. So, like, I learned, but I want to schedule this. Let's figure out what we're doing. When are we doing it? How are we doing it? Do we want to do this? How do we need to prepare? And there are literally times when Gabe and I will be having these conversations. I will get actual chills down my spine.
Yeah.
Just like, did it get cold in here? And I'm telling, like, I cannot explain it. I don't know why it happens. It doesn't happen to me in my regular conversations with other people,
Right.
but just like goosebumps. He can say one sentence, goosebumps. I'm like, whew, okay, okay,
And that's the importance of keeping things spicy in your relationship,
yes,
you know?
yes.
And we are fortunate that we don't have little kids. Like I don't have a 2-year-old running through the house or, 1-year-old. So if we want to keep it spicy, we can keep it spicy all the time. It is so much harder. And I completely acknowledge the fact that if you have kids, if both of you are working insane schedules, you're not going to do the 2 p.m. lingerie, spew every day. Okay. I'm not saying do it every day. I'm saying do it once a month. I'm
Or
saying
a
do
year.
something or,
You know what?
on a
Doing
weekend.
something once, once for your husband will do.
Right.
Just once. He will think about it literally for
Yes.
years.
Yes. Yes.
My husband sent me a screenshot of a Facebook memory today that was from a date night that was
Mm-hmm.
very memorable to him. And
Mm-hmm.
every year he sends it to me as like a remember that night? So
Mm-hmm.
yes, even if you did it once on a Tuesday at 2
Right.
p.m., he would
Exactly.
forever remember that.
Right.
So just little things here and there, sprinkling them out throughout. It doesn't have to be like a love fest all day, every
Right.
day.
Oh God, no. Oh God, no. No one's doing that. And just little text messages, send a little cute picture, go in the bathroom while your kid's taking a nap and you know, take a little booby selfie or something. Just send it to him on his lunch break. Like a little
Yes.
something, you know? I
Uh,
promise men are very simple creatures. We love them, you know, but they're simple. They still want the chase. Even after marriage, they still want that little
yeah.
spice.
Yeah.
We're not saying do it every day, but keep your love alive, keep the spice alive, keep your marriage alive, keep them just a little shock factor every now and then. Every now and then. Sneak in that bathroom, girl. Sneak in that bathroom. Mm-hmm. You know?
Maybe take it with you sometimes.
Right. Drag them in the bathroom while your kids are watching a movie for just 5 minutes. I promise. For months and months to come, he is fine. He is just fine. After that moment, he's like, yes, Hercules, Hercules, you know? And I think speaking, we talked about positive speech towards ourselves. And I think it's so important in a relationship towards your partner as well. I see so many women who are broken down to the ground by their husbands, like, oh, you don't do this. Oh, they've gained weight, da, 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 this and that. I think speaking love and pumping, just cheerleadering up your husband, like, yeah, baby, or like me and my husband will be in the gym and I look over and he's in the mirror just feeling himself. And I'm like, yeah, you just gotta let him, because they're men. They gotta be feel mannish all the time. I love being my husband's hype man or woman. Sorry, hype
Yeah,
man.
absolutely. And I think also something that we don't want to not touch on is just how much of a turn on it can be for a woman to take the
Right,
selfie and send it to her husband. You're going to feel 100 times hotter after you send that photo. I don't give a
right.
shit if you're in your robe, and this is coming from somebody that lives in their robe. Okay? Ask Gabe. I live in it. We got a lot of dogs. Take just you will feel so much hotter if you just take
Mm-hmm.
a selfie, get in a position where you feel comfortable, show
Mm-hmm.
something that you like about your body, send it to your husband, your significant other, whoever.
Right,
And I promise you, you will not only will they benefit, but you will benefit from that. You will feel better about yourself. You
right,
will be seeing more positive attributes about yourself.
right,
Trust me, take the photo.
right. There's always a way to make yourself. There are angles. Put on some lip gloss, put on a little something, spice yourself up a little bit,
You don't have to
whatever
be
makes you
crazy.
feel good. You don't have to do nothing at all if you don't want to, whatever makes you feel good. If it's that one position that you feel sexy, and honey, you take all the pictures in that position. You don't have to think about the other positions and how you don't feel comfortable because your stomach's doing this, your
Look it.
cellulite's doing this. You take that sexy picture. I promise you. And Kristin and I have talked about this. We talked about this months ago because, as she does, I like to send my husband cute pictures, flirty. We're going to call them flirty pictures. And we were talking about it one day and she was like, do you even get turned on when you do that? I'm like, yeah. I was actually telling my husband that. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
oh, that's
Yeah, I
me?
am fly.
Ooh. And
Yes.
then they respond and you're like, yeah, hype me up. Hype me up. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And the next thing you know, you're ready for them to come home and ready.
Yes. Anyway, we're heading over to Tomboy After Dark. We're going to continue this conversation over there. We're going to get a little bit spicier. Hit us up on our socials if you want to come hang out, ask us questions.
You guys send us the
Anything.
questions, send us any comments, concerns, any suggestions on how we can make the show better. You know, if you'd like for us to have certain guests on, like what type of guests would you guys like for us to have on? We're doing this for you. We're doing this to create this group, this community. Okay, so we want to give you what you want. So let us know, send us messages, questions, whatever, and we got you.
Yeah, absolutely. My Instagram handle is at Chrissy Nikki. The Tomboy Instagram handle is at Tomboy Clubhouse. Lila's is at, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
It's at Beautiful and Bold.
Uh-huh.
So it's at BEYOUTIFUL and Bold.
Yes. That is my TikTok. That is my Instagram. And that is my... We'll talk about that later. Okay.
Yeah, so we will see you on Tomboy After Dark.
Bye, guys.
Or we'll see you next week.
Or next week.